So Chuck, I'm going to give you a little quick intro. Chuck's an enterprise project management solution sales professional for Microsoft. He's responsible for ensuring that customers understand the value of solutions built around the Microsoft platform and project suite of tools. Chuck spent 37 years in the portfolio and project management industry in various roles, including pre-sales support, business consulting, account management, business development, sales consulting leadership for various project management software and consulting service companies. So with that, I'm going to hand the floor over to Chuck.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for taking the time. I've just got a few slides. The team at Progility asked me to come in and just kind of share with you some of the things that Microsoft is thinking about in the project space. Kind of things that we're seeing happening out in the industry, how we're reacting that as far as our tool development and focus goes. Kind of level set some of the terms of references around work management and some of the products that fit into there, which is always important. Little bit on licensing, because that always comes up in discussion around what license is out there and how do they all tie together. And then just a little bit of a roadmap on where we're making some current investments. So with that, I just want to kind of highlight that whenever we're looking at where we're heading and what we're doing with the tools, this is our current vision. It's a one-liner: teams work the way they want, executives get the results they need. So we're always looking at ways of making sure that we understand how the end users are using the tools, and out of the features and functions we're providing, actually bringing them value in what they do as individuals or how they work with other people in a collaborative work environment. And then as I heard through some of the presentations, of course, the executives getting the information they need. I found it interesting to comment about, executives don't always work well in dashboards, that they needed the paginated reports. That was fascinating for me. I hadn't been getting a lot of questions around that. It is mainly around the dashboards, but I can see it based on some of the customers that I've worked with. So those are the types of things that we're trying to really make sure that we understand. Are the featured functions there that make it easy for a project manager to get their job done? And are we generating the right data for executives to understand the decisions that they need to make? So when we start looking at this, there's different dimensions that we look at, in terms of transparency and versatility and things intuitive. We get a lot of questions about integration, and I heard that some of that through the presentations today, and of course compliancy, both from security or business compliancy respect. And we take a look at the problems, and are our solutions there? Do we need to make some changes, and are we getting the right outcomes for our customers? There's really two things I want to point out here that we've started to see over the past few years. It was starting to be described as kind of collaborative project management. And then we started doing some more surveys with the millennials and how they want to work and the tools they want to use. And a couple things jumped out at us, and they're highlighted here. We're starting to see a big trend that teams want to work in their own way, and they want to choose their own tools. And they want it to be very easy and simple and visual, and that's where the versatility and the intuitive came in. These kept coming up a lot, especially the casual PM. Now, the presentation earlier, the gentleman mentioned accidental project manager. Even in terms of Microsoft, we've used that term. We're landing more on casual project managers, and your description was spot on. What we're seeing is two camps of project managers: professional project managers, and the way that I kind of define that is are people who do project manager or are a project manager by trade. That is their title. They're assigned projects, they work those projects from beginning to end, they get another project. Or if they're smaller projects, they may have 2 or 3 or 4 projects. But their day in and day out job is making sure projects are getting done. The casual project manager, and the description earlier was spot on, it's other people that have different roles, maybe a business analyst or heck, even a developer, an engineer, where project manager is not their primary responsibility, but they're taking on some project management tasks, traditional project management type things like building out a schedule and commuting that schedule and getting work assigned and getting updates on that work. And they tend to be smaller projects. They're definitely not the larger strategic initiatives where you need the professional project manager, but we're seeing that increase. And as I talk to more and more customers and describe this, they say, yeah, that's exactly what we see happening. And we see is those casual project managers are the ones that are driving that versatility. They find that project online is too complex. Project on the desktop is way too complex. And they tend to want to use something like Excel or Planner. But Excel and Planner, or even To-Do, doesn't give them quite enough for what they need to get the job done. And so now we start getting requests for, hey, can we add this to Planner and can we do that? So those are the things that we've seen over the past few years, and the way that we've addressed that is, if you aren't aware, we introduced a product about 2 years back called Project for the Web, which is kind of sitting middle of the slide. And I'm going to walk you through the slide kind of left to right, and there's a lot happening in this slide. First, when we take a look at the different products that we've been under this work management umbrella, we take a look at it from a complexity perspective, and complexity could be a process, a business process, or just the number of people that need to interact with the tool or get access to the data. If I'm an individual, that's certainly not as complex. If I'm running a PMO with 800 projects, I need to see all the metrics across. So complexity could be people, the number of people, could be the process. And then we take a look at the capabilities that are required. A very complex process, of course, is going to need more features and functions than a simple to-do list or a task and teams list. Okay, and so those are the two dimensions: complexity and capabilities. The really key one to take a look at is this concept of unstructured tasks or work, or structured tasks and work. And you'll see the dotted line there. And mainly what starts driving this is relationships between the tasks. We kind of refer to them as dependencies, right? When we're trying to manage work, where one piece of work, a task, a to-do, has a relationship with another one, can't start until this one's finished, we move over into the structured side of the house. When we start taking a look at rolling up data to drive a dashboard, that's also something that's going to drive some structure, because now we need tags around the project or the tasks that allow us to group them together in a way that's going to make sense for our executives. So unstructured versus structured. And we start working up the product list here. Of course, the simple one is task and teams. I'm going to preface it and say, actually, there is one more on this. We just don't put it on the slide. And it's even further left and down, and that's Excel. Excel is our #1 competitor in the work management space. More work is being managed in Excel than any other tool out there. But tasks and teams, if you're not familiar with tasks and teams and your organization is using Teams, I'm going to strongly recommend you take a look at that. Tasks and teams is starting to become a little more central to our work management. And this is geared for an individual, a person, to see work that has been assigned to him or her. Now, where that work comes from is going to be from different tools. Some can come from To-Do, some can come from Planner. By the end of the year, we're working on having it being driven by Project for the Web. We have partners that built utilities that can move project online data over there. So tasks and teams is becoming kind of a consolidator for things that have been assigned to me as an individual. And then as part of that assignment and seeing it in tasks for teams, building the hooks back to provide updates, simple updates. I'm either done, I'm not done, maybe even a % complete. All right, so task and teams is becoming very important in our work management strategy as being the hub for when things are assigned to me. And there's a lot of things that are going on that's going to flow into that. For example, we're building hooks into Office. So imagine a world where you go into a Word document and you say, hey, I need Chuck to review this section and provide feedback and updates, and assign that work directly in the Word document. And then that piece of work flows into tasks and teams. And if we think about what I just described, it's a lot of unstructured work. It's things that need to be done by me as an individual, right? But they don't have any relationships to one another, not necessarily having any relationships to one another. To do, it kind of falls into the same category. Actually, I think more people use to do as a personal tool than in terms of a small group or team, but the features are there to share out those pieces of work to other people. Very simple app, very popular, but I personally see it more used more like tasks and teams than I do for some of the features that are there for sharing that work with other people. The big one, Planner. Planner exploded when we brought Planner to the market. And people started using it and we started getting the feedback. That's where we started to realize a lot more around this casual or accidental project manager. So many people migrated off of Excel in terms of managing work and into Planner. It is one of the most used apps in Teams today, and it's grown. And that's kind of caught us off guard, especially in the project side of the house. And then we started realizing what people were trying to do with it. And what really came to light is where they were trying to push it. And so Planner, we were getting a lot of requests for adding things that were in Microsoft Project, right? We wanted dependencies. We wanted a scheduling engine for doing critical path. We wanted some level of resource management there. And that never fit within our vision for what Planner was geared for. And this tool is absolutely geared for and used for defining work within a team, sharing that work with the team members and getting updates back. But we still consider it to be more unstructured than we do structured. And we have no intent as of today of building anything into Planner that's going to make it look or feel or work more like a traditional project management tool like Microsoft Project on the desktop. Okay, Planner is always going to be sitting right now in this unstructured world, and it's geared for being able to define work and push that out to teams and getting simple updates. And that link to task and teams is already there. So you really have a nice flow for that unstructured side. What we did do is we took that to heart. We did a lot more research in the market. We understood that this casual or accidental project management space was a huge growth area. And so we invested in a tool called Project for the Web. And this is going to fall on the structured side of the house. It has a look and feel like Planner. You'll feel very comfortable in being in Project for the Web if you're a Planner user. It has the same construct in terms of having a grid, very Excel-like look and feel. It has the Kanban board or the cards that Planner does. What we did add to Project for the Web, though, was a Gantt. So you can go into Project for the Web, create a Gantt chart, create the dependencies from your work, which gives us that structured feel that we're looking for. And this is where we're now doing most of our investment. In fact, all of our investment right now is in Project for the Web, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But we see this as being a huge growth area. It's hitting a couple different areas in parallel. The non-traditional, the casual, the accidental project managers are starting to adopt this aggressively. We're now actually being pushed to take and put more capabilities in Project for the Web that are sitting in Project Online. And so it's starting to evolve into a lighter PPM solution, Project Program Portfolio Management solution. Doesn't have the same feature set as Project Online. Project Online is still our star program portfolio management tool. Has been for a long time. But we're getting feedback from customers that they really like the easier to use, the lighter look and feel of Project for the Web. Okay. Project Online, we've heard a lot about that today. Not much more to be said there. It's been around forever. We really don't get a lot of feature requests for Project Online. It pretty much does what it was originally intended to do, and it's still being used by a lot of our customers. Dynamics Project Operations, that's a new one introduced last year. And this is for a very, very specific use case. It's called Professional Services Automation. And basically, this tool is geared around a business process that starts with opportunities with customers. So in other words, I, as a business, I provide a service to a customer, and that customer I work with, and we agree that I'm going to do some work for them, which could generate some form of statement of work or things to do. And then that statement of work and the things to do evolve into a project schedule with deliverables. And the key difference is when we assign resources in Dynamics project operations, we're actually attaching a rate, a billable rate, which is the key driver for project operations, is being able to define the work, assign a resource, capture the hours that are worked against that project on behalf of the customer. And then into the third pillar of the tool is invoice them, to actually take that data and roll it into an invoice. So think of a company like Progility. They are a services-based organization. Dynamics project operations can fit very nicely into their business model. Not a sales pitch, Rob. Where they can take and identify their customers, then they can take and agree a statement of work and build that into a schedule, capture the hours, and then invoice the customers for that work directly through the tool. So Dynamics project operations is all about a very, very specific business process that's out there. And there's some competitive products in that space as well. All right. So key things here, we have a lot of products in our work management suite. One of the things that is our focus is how are we tying these products into our strategy around the Power Platform, which is the new underlying database called the Dataverse, and how do we use Power BI and Power Automate and virtual agents and the Power Apps and all the AI tools that we're building around this. And we want this to be kind of wrapped around teams. Project for the Web, that little middle pier right there, is being developed and driven in the Power Platform. Okay, so Project for the Web is a Power Platform application. It is using an underlying database called the Dataverse, and we can leverage all the tools that you see here: Power BI, Teams, Power Apps, Power Automate. There's a big difference between Planner in this space. We've had requests for a while. I'd like to get Planner data into Power BI. We can't do that. Out of the box, it's not easy for you to move Planner data into Power BI. We've had some partners that have done some really, really creative work in being able to do that, but that's not our intent. So go back to our original vision, tools that people want to use, and giving the executives the information they need. Project for the Web, Project Online, Dynamics Project Operations are really fitting around that vision around the structured tasks and projects and being able to roll that up. Some terms of reference within the suite, so the tools that we use. You'll see the new project service or the Dataverse on the left with Project for the Web sitting up there. You see Project Online to the right, and some of the licenses or the tools there: Project Online Premium, Project Online Essentials. It's all based on the SharePoint platform. The desktop app is Project Online Professional. Back to the left, we have Project for the Web. You have Plan 1, which is the UI for creating and developing the schedule. And one of the things that we're looking at now is we didn't want to, or we don't want to, take this really nice, simple tool that the casual project managers were looking at and building it into something that becomes overly complex, like Project Online could be for them. And so the new platform allows us to tailor the user interface based on your license type. And so where we're heading is that one user will go into Project for the Web with a Plan 1 license, and they will have a certain feature set. And then Project for the Web, another user that goes into Project for the Web has a Plan 3 license assigned to them, and they're going to have a different feature set, a more complex feature set. They're going to be using the same user interface. They're just going to have a slightly different experience. That's going to allow us to, make sure that we're doing the right thing by the casual, accidental project managers, but then still be able to grow the tool that can be more effective and more usable by the professional project managers, and then allow us to pulling in all that data into the Dataverse. The Project Accelerator is something that's downloadable. Progility is very well versed on this tool. They've done deployments using it, but it's basically taking that data that's sitting in the Dataverse and extending it to support your business processes, where you can bring in some program management, some portfolio management, issues management, risk management, creating some forms, a little bit of finance. So being able to add some additional data to the schedule that's sitting in Project for the Web. It's a free download. You can develop it yourself using the Power Platform. You can use a partner like Progility and their experience with it to help you build out that. And we even have partners that are starting to create their own Power apps, and they're playing off the Dataverse and making those available to customers. So Dataverse, new platform on the left, our standard SharePoint environment on the right. And then there's 3 products, features that we have that allow you to bridge between the two. The first one is the project roadmap. And the roadmap is a very, very easy to use graphical tool that allows you to build out a roadmap of projects and show those in time and present those to executives and to annotate them with additional information. So it's more of a long-term visual of where all of our projects are. Project Home, of course, is the home page. If you go up to your Office 365 portal and you have the waffle in the upper left and you select project, it's going to take you to Project Home. And Project Home is the interface that's going to allow you to get at Project for the Web. It's going to allow you to get at Project Online, and it's going to allow you to get at the roadmap. So that's kind of centered to those 3 features and being able to get through the architecture that we have here. And of course, Power BI can read both from a SharePoint environment and the Dataverse. And so there is a downloadable dashboard called the Power BI Content Pack for Project. And you can install that in your environment, and it can read from both of those databases and share them in the same dashboard, which is great because now we can set up an environment that supports casual accidental project managers in the Dataverse. We might have an area that's using the lighter Project Accelerator for a light PMO. We could have full-blown PMO with a very complex project sitting in Project Online, and all that information can be shared through one dashboard in Power BI. So this is where we're at with the overall architecture. Talk a little bit about licensing and different products. I just want to bend them into the way that we look at it. So we have desktop project management. We define desktop project management as an individual project manager that has a schedule, and he or she needs to share that information to some people, but in a very light way. I might do some PDFs, I might do some simple reporting, I might do some screenshots into PowerPoint, those types of things. But there's no business requirement for my data to be sitting in a database. So think of 100 project managers all working 100 different project schedules, and they're using the tool of choice, which in this case would be Project Online Professional Plan 3, which is the traditional desktop app, and then our new Project for the Web lighter version, Plan 1. And that data is sitting there independent of one another. Then we move over into the middle column there, where we start talking about PPM, project program or project portfolio management, where now we're trying to address some use cases and some information that is garnered by pulling all of that data into a common place. So now it's not sitting on somebody's desktop, it's actually sitting in the SharePoint database, or it's sitting in the Dataverse. And the 2 tools, the 2 platforms we have for that, of course, I already mentioned, is Project for the Web. And so that's Plan 1. On top of that, with the Accelerator, which is free, that's not a license. On top of that, the Power BI Content Pack for reporting gives you a very, very nice, lightweight portfolio project management tool, program project management tool. And then Project Online, which you've heard through the other, is our bread and butter portfolio project management with Essentials, Professional, and then 2 flavors of Plan 5, one without client, one with client, depending on individual use cases. On the right, we still maintain an on-prem environment. Not used much anymore in my world. I have very, very few customers that have anything on-prem anymore, but we still sell and offer up an on-prem desktop project management suite, Project Standard and Project Professional. And we still have an on-prem project server environment, Project Professional, that comes with a CAL, Project Server, and then the Project Server CAL. So just the little terms of references and the licensing. You know, I get calls all the time from customers that say, I want to talk about project. First question back, what project? So this hopefully will help you to understand that we have different tools for different needs. Last and not least, then we'll go into Q&A. This is just a high-level roadmap, and this is geared around Project for the Web. Now, what's very interesting about the Project for the Web platform is it changed the way that Microsoft is now developing capabilities. If you think a few years back and the way that we created new versions or new capabilities, there were basically 2 or 3 years, or sometimes even 4 years, we disappear. We release a product, and then 4 years later, we come back and go, surprise, we got a new product. Uncover it and show you all the new features and functions, and then we would, help you along with our partners Progility move from old version to new version. The cloud has given us the opportunity to manage the deployment of features, not just versions. So that's why you'll see that Project for the Web and all of our online tools don't have a feature, or I'm sorry, a version number associated with it. It's what we refer to as evergreen. And so we're constantly updating and creating new functionality and rolling those out to our customers. And so for Project for the Web, left column are all the features and functions we've shipped in the past year. Things that are coming out now into the end of calendar. Team member experience, we're going to be tying things into being able to allow a team member to go in and update a schedule directly. So if I'm assigned a task, I'll be able to update it. On the project management side, we're actually bringing some features over from Planner, labels and checklists and some calendaring, adding some colors, and adding some new features of some charts and reports directly in the tool. Collaboration, being able to tag people. So these are all things that are currently in development. We have developers working on it. And as they finish development and test it, we roll it out through the various channels to the Office 365 portals, and you'll get those updates. So it's not uncommon for Rob and I to be working in the tool one day, and the next day, hey, we got a new feature. And so then we go in and we take a look at that, and we come to understand it. Things that are coming down the road, so that would probably be like next year timeframe. We're looking at more integration to the tasks and teams. We're definitely going to be putting some more features in on the project management side. We've had requests for increasing the limits on the size of projects, do some more work around templates and baselining. We're going to have some critical path. We're going to have some ways of being able to migrate a planner list. Okay, I don't call it a planner project or a planner plan. Migrate that up to Project for the Web. So if all of a sudden Planner is not satisfying my needs, I've got a way of moving my data up to Planner. In the already released, you'll find that there's a way of actually importing a Microsoft project file. So if I'm a Microsoft project user and I'd rather use Project for the Web, I can certainly move my data into that. And some other things around the project management issues and risks, and some more things on the collaborations. Really what I want to show here is that we've got a new way of releasing features and capabilities, and it's going to continue to change. And to be honest, where we're taking our direction from are you, the customers, and our partners like Rob and Sarah and Progility. We listen to them very carefully, very closely, and we develop our sprints for Microsoft Project for the Web based on that feedback and prioritizing them. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Sarah.
Thanks a lot, Chuck. Looks like we've got some questions for you. Could you speak to how Outlook Tasks fits in with Tasks and Teams and To Do?
Yes and no. Slightly outside of my wheelhouse, but I did do some work myself personally in understanding how this data flows from one tool to the other. And I did go into Outlook and I created a task, and it did flow into To Do, and it did flow into Tasks for Teams. And then I get an update and it flows back. So there is a link, there's a bridge between Outlook Tasks and that. But in the spirit of transparency, that's not something we're going to evolve, improve. Our vision for work management is not Outlook. Okay, Outlook is for email and messaging. It used to be kind of the landing spot for all things work because we live and die in email. I can share with you personally, I actually spend less time in Outlook now. Now that Microsoft's fully adopted Teams, I'm in Teams all day long, right? I get messages, I work with the different groups that I work with. We even have bridges to customers, so I have dialogue with customers through Teams. Do I get emails? Yes, but it's dropped quite a bit. And so I don't see us doing a lot of investment in that. I think that if we think about work management and creating work and managing work, it's absolutely going to be the tools I presented in that one slide. Hope that helps. Hope it doesn't disappoint.
Thanks, Chuck. And the $1 million question, will Project for the Web be replacing Project Online?
Yeah, good question. I think that's out there and talked about a lot. You know, I wish I had a crystal ball and could tell you that. Do I think it'll happen? Yeah. Is it going to happen next week? Heck no. It's going to be a few years down the road if it does. And what's really going to drive that are you, the customers, and then our ability to grow Project for the Web to meet the needs that are being satisfied for Project Online. Okay. That's all I know right now. You know, it's being discussed a lot. It's being discussed in the product group. It's being discussed in the partner community, my community of my peers around the world. Yeah, I'll be honest, it's being discussed. It's being very seriously looked at, but there's no definitive plans that are being released at this time.
Thank you. And do you know if Microsoft has a plan to implement Microsoft Planner for use on private channels within a Teams site?
Nope, that one's definitely out of my wheelhouse. Sarah, Rob, if you could jot down notes next time we get together, I'll try to find one of our planner folks and see if they can shed some light on that, and then maybe we can answer that offline for your audience.
Awesome, thanks, Chuck. All right, I think that's it for questions. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for your time, Chuck. And we will be moving into our next session.
My pleasure. Thanks everybody for the time. Hope it was useful. Take care.